Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 22. And in today's video I'm going to show you how to improve your braking within MotoGP 22. Now, braking is a bit of an art form. It's a difficult thing to master, but once you've got the hang of it and you feel the confidence, you will eventually get it right. So with my tips and hints and tricks today, will hopefully improve your braking. So let's crack on with the first thing I want to take a look at, and that is the brakes themselves. So it's important to understand the difference between brakes from larger brake discs to smaller brake discs. So we're going to go into the consumption and braking system check and compare the front brake discs. We'll take a look at rear brakes in a moment, but for now, this is the most important part. As you can see, there are 4 different discs to choose from the main category. Now, each one is labelled differently with different heating times and cooling times. Now, if you're a rider that is really aggressive on the brakes and you really stamp on the left trigger, then I would highly recommend you go for a smaller brake disc with a higher heating time. That way you can slam on the brakes and it won't overheat the brakes. Now, for me, I'm quite the opposite. I'm very gentle, so I tend to brake very gradually and very relaxed. So I would go for something with a short heating time because I need to get more temperature in the brakes. Now, you can choose from a 12-inch or a 13-inch. I would recommend the 13-inch if you are struggling with stopping the motorcycle, and on the flip side, if you're struggling with stability, go for the 12-inch. Now, we are going to take a look at the rear brakes, but more detail later on, but for now, choose the 8-inch. I don't see a purpose in using the 7-inch, to be quite honest. Now, those are my recommendations, but I highly recommend you check out each and every brake disc just to get a good understanding and a feel of what works best for you. But let's take a look at the riding aid screen now, because this is quite important. My riding aids are as follows, as you can see on screen. However, let's focus on the relevant braking parts. So auto brakes, assisted front brake, and brake input modulation. Auto brakes, assisted front brake, only if you're an absolute beginner. If you're really struggling with the game, I would consider using it. But for now, brake input modulation is where I want you to start. It will give you a much better feeling on the brakes without throwing you over the motorcycle, and it will just give you that little bit more freedom with pressing the brake a little bit firmer. You might not be as fast because, of course, it's a little bit more assisted, but it still helps you get used to the bikes and get used to the feeling of braking. So after you've changed your settings and you've found what works best for you, we're going to jump back on the track and now have a look at the 2 key points of this video. You're going to be looking at the front brake and the rear brake. See those gauges in the bottom right corner of your screen? That is absolutely critical for learning and understanding how much brake is being applied. If you're coming from a car background, you've had 4 brakes to contend with, 4 wheels to slow yourself down. MotoGP, front brake, rear brake, separated. Most important part is getting the braking right, being gentle on the brakes, being relaxed on the brakes, not slamming it down, not pressing it with vengeance, being controlled and calm. You'll see in the bottom right corner of your screen, look how much brake is being applied for specific corners. Maybe not even 50% for some, maybe 100% for some, and maybe not even that. A gentle tap, a gentle press is all that is required. Another massive tip I can give you, which I've been using and been advising people to use since MotoGP whatever, is to push back on the left analog stick. When you're coming up to a hard braking zone, you're going to be ready and prepared to put on the brakes. Push the rider's weight backwards into the seat. Check the controls, you will see that there is an option to push the rider's weight forward and the rider's weight backwards. Pushing the rider's weight forward will stop the bike from wheeling, and pushing it backwards will help you wheelie, but also at the same time will position the rider's backside into the back of the bike, pushing the rear weight down, keeping you more stable under braking. You may find that braking without that, you might be lifting the front end ever so slightly, but with that, pressing it backwards and pushing you back into the rear part of the seat, you will find that the bike will be braking much easier and much more stable. Now, before we move on to the next couple of clips I have available for you, I want to give you my controls. I'm using the standard front brake, which is L2 or LT, and of course for the PlayStation controller I'm using square as the rear brake, and the Xbox controller X as the rear brake. I would advise for you to play around with it and see what works best for you, but those are my controls. So let's take a look at a couple of clips now. We're going to be using Miguel Oliveira in Aragon, and I'm going to show you how to brake correctly, and then I'm also going to show you how not to brake. So into the first corner, putting on the brakes, pushing the rider's weight backwards, a little bit of rear brake just to slow the motorcycle down, position yourself to the left hand side, and you're through the corner with ease. So let's take a look at it if I didn't do what I suggested, and I just slammed on the anchors, pushing either forward on the analog stick or just leaving it neutral, a massive crash. let's have a comparison of them both side by side to see what the difference is under braking. You will see on the left hand side is the correct one, pushing backwards with an analog stick, and the other one not doing that and just slamming the anchors on with absolute ferocity. So the tips and tricks I've given you so far in this video will work on all motorcycles in MotoGP 21. Heck, it even works for Ride 4 and even the past MotoGP games as well. But what happens when you go into a damp and sodden track like Valencia right now? Well, everything you've learned so far is just that more important. It requires you to be that extra bit careful, that extra bit more sensitive on the brakes rather than slamming him on. So let's take the McDowan corner of Valencia here into turn 2. We're going to be very calm on the brakes. We're pushing the rider's weight backwards into the seat, and we're also keeping the tyres in line with each other. Keeping them parallel will help you slow you down, but also keep you stable without slipping and sliding all over the track. Now, as I mentioned, everything is magnified when it's the wet. Everything needs to be that little bit more gentle, a little bit more careful. So this will take some time. You may struggle with the wet, which is absolutely no shame. I would recommend just learning in the dry, improving all the time, and slowly try and transition to wet weather racing and then even downright sodden tracks. So now moving across to Argentina with Pol Espargaro on the Repsol Honda, I want you guys to pay attention to the bottom right hand corner of the screen and keep an eye on those braking gauges. Top one being the front brake, bottom being the rear brake. Keep an eye on them and just understand how much brake is being applied. Because what many people won't realise is some brakes are only 80% pressed, 60% pressed, 70% pressed. I very rarely go 100% on the brakes. I'm not slamming it down, I'm not pressing it with aggression. It's gentle, controlled and concise movements. If there's anything to take away from this video, it is definitely that, and you will improve on MotoGP 22 in regards to braking. Now remember what I said earlier, I do implore you to test out different braking discs. A larger one may suit you better, maybe a smaller one with a higher heating time or a lower heating time. Try them all out, figure out what works best for you, and you will also find yourself getting a little bit more confident, and that is where we need to be. No shame in testing the other braking options as well, so if you need to run the auto brakes, maybe you need to run joint brakes, maybe you want to have a bit of assistance on it, there is no shame in using any of those options, so use them entirely how you want to. So I'm going to do another lap here in Argentina with Pol Espargaro. Once again, keep an eye on the bottom right corner of your screen. Just pay attention on how I'm braking, where I'm braking, how much brake is being applied. It is very important to learn and very important to understand how to improve. If you know where to improve from, you can then start to learn. Compare it with your own riding. Maybe give this bike a go in this track, and also compare where you're braking compared to where I am. Maybe I'm braking a bit earlier than you, maybe you're braking a bit earlier than me. Try it out and understand where you are going wrong. But let me tell you guys, it is a positive because this video will be the start of my guides and tutorials for MotoGP 22, so if you need any more assistance, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm more than happy to help you out in the comments, or maybe even do a follow-up video to this. I do plan on doing hand cam gameplay so you can see exactly how I hold my controller, how I'm moving the analog sticks and how I am braking. We're going to be doing an acceleration tutorial and also looking at the ride height device as well. So if you're interested in any of that content, definitely hit the subscribe button because I have a lot of MotoGP 22 content planned, and honestly, I can't wait to do them, so it'd be hand in hand if we all join together and improve everyone's skills, because then we can all race online together. And if you're interested in racing me online, you can join the Discord server as we will host different races and Grand Prix every now and again. So guys, upon that note, I'm going to leave you with the final lap here in Argentina. Once again, pay attention to the bottom right corner of your screen, and I will see you in the next video. Hopefully this video helped you. Hit the like button if it did, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite set your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.